Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Steel City Mukbang Variety Pod. We are going to continue our discussion on addiction. This is a brand new podcast for me, and I am your host, Tara Molina, aka T Rex, Twerex. We're not going to delay. We're just going to jump right in it. I hope that you will like, follow, share, and subscribe to my YouTube and Spotify platforms. I will have links listed for you in the description box. So, addiction. It is a demon. You can be addicted to anything. Anything. So, we're going to open this discussion up to talk about any type of addiction you want to talk about, whether it be drugs, social media, porn. We don't care. We're just going to talk in general about addiction and the effects that it can have on our loved ones, friends, families. It's a stronghold. It is definitely a stronghold. And the one thing that I ask you to please always take into consideration that there is some type of spark that is not lining up in the brains of addicts. It truly is not their fault. I mean, there are people who will go out and try drugs, and you might say if you hadn't tried them, then you wouldn't get hooked. Yes and no. If you don't have an addictive personality, you can try all the drugs you want and you're not going to get hooked. But if you have that chemical imbalance in your brain that is prone to addiction, even through genetics, you're not going to be able to help getting hooked. And it's not fair when people blame the addict, because I'm sure if the addict was able to do anything about it, I'm sure they would. You can't tell me that people want to be addicted. There's no way that you can make me believe that. Why would you want to? Why would you want to be cast out, cast aside in society, ostracized, looked at with the side eye from people because you're laying on a storm grate and covered with newspaper, high to death on drugs? Why would you want to try to climb the side of a building on your knees and keep sliding back down and smashing your face off of the sidewalk? I don't think anyone signs up for that. But the one thing is, the people that are addicted and get caught up, they are human beings. They are our brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, grandparents, aunts, uncles, sons, daughters. Each one of those addicts that you see, whether functioning or non functioning, is someone's loved one. And it may be yours. So I always tell you, people, don't judge. Don't judge, because you never know what you're going to come to. You never know what your family member is going to come to. They are someone's loved one. We are going to have a guest today speak on a story that she wants to share with us. That's going to be coming a little bit later in the program. Right now, we're just going to continue to chat about it. What can you do for an addicted loved one? That is the $1,000,000 question. So what exactly can you do for a loved one that is so addicted to drugs that nothing else seems to matter to them? They don't care about you. They don't care about their own life. Only thing they care about is how and when to get the next fix. They come around to see you or call you to check on you only when they want to try to manipulate you to give them money or whatever else they might need in order to get to that drug. Maybe it's a car ride. Thinking back on my recent situation, I'm not even convinced now that my son was really that concerned about spending all of that time with me that he spent over the past 2.5 months. I don't really think that was what it was about. I think it may have been a lot of manipulation. He might have only wanted company, security, to feel safe while he was that sick. Because as soon as he was over it and back in that atmosphere, he started acting like Dr. Jekyll again. I don't know. Whatever. But really, what do you do with these people? What do you do with them? It's always someone close. All the years that my son went through this drug addiction, all the years, in and out of jail and drug-related charges, I was always there. I would send him commissary. I would go visit him. I would have hope every time that he was going to get out and change. And he never did. 20 years. As hard as it is, you have to let them hit rock bottom. Looking back on it, this may sound harsh. This may sound harsh. It may sound cruel. But when my son called that day, sick in the hospital, I should not have gone. I probably should have just let him spend that 2 months at rock bottom with no one. I don't know if it would have made a difference. But I can tell you one thing. If it happens again, and he's definitely going to need me before I need him. If it happens again, I won't be there. And I mean that because when I talked to him the other day, worried and concerned because he hadn't been responding to his phone, and I knew that that was his MO of being out in the street and strung out again. I was so upset that I reacted in such a way that I might have sounded like the overbearing mother. And it made him mad My reaction made him mad. So mad that he told me I needed to get a goldfish or a pet or a girlfriend or boyfriend because I was treating him like he was my boyfriend. This is the type of psychological games and guilt they try to play on you. Not even realizing how stupid it sounds. How are you going to tell your mother that she's treating you like you're her boyfriend just because she's concerned of your whereabouts, who you're with, and are you high? They flip the game and gaslight so well. So I made up my mind. The next time he calls me for help, the next time he calls me when he's scared and lonely, I'm going to tell him that I'm feeding my goldfish. You know, the ones that you told me to get. I can't come and help you. There comes a time you have to fight fire with fire. It's like the only game the addict understands. Fight fire with fire. Let them hit rock bottom. That sounds easy. It rolls off the tongue so easy, doesn't it? Let them hit rock bottom. You can't enable them. I won't enable him. There's always a lie and a story. There's always some conniving and manipulation. I have to cut him loose. It's a toxic situation. It's very toxic. And I can't do it anymore. I think 20 years is long enough anyway. If someone doesn't change after 20 years, even after multiple near-death experiences and the threat of open heart surgery, I'm done. Wash my hands. I blocked him from Messenger. I blocked him out of my phone. I don't want to hear anything. And I just want to say to you guys that if it comes to that point, it's okay. When you have done all you can do, you are only human, and you cannot do any more. There's no sense making yourself sick when there are other people that you have to be there for. If someone doesn't care enough about their own life, even if it is your own child, why should you? After you've given it all the chances that you can and you've expired every option, it's fine to give it to God and let it go. If you're not a believer, then just let it go. Just let it go. It's like beating a dead horse. Some addicts are just going to keep on chasing their drug or drugs of choice until they're dead. In my mind, I am prepared for the call. I have been prepared for the call for at least 15 of the 20 years. I know you say you're prepared, but you don't know until you actually get that call. I just know not to be surprised. It's almost like knowing someone has cancer, terminal cancer, and they're going to die one day soon. It's kind of like that. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. You have to let it go. It's okay to let go of toxic situations. It's fine. Well, I promised you a guest. It's time to hear someone else's story, and I am going to connect you right now. We are all very similar. We are not alone. We're going to talk to Cynthia now, who's going to tell us her story about her mother.
Hi, my name is Cynthia, and I'm here to talk to you about addiction. My mom was 15 years old when she got pregnant with me. And like most people, when you think about addiction, you think about people going out on the street and using drugs and getting hooked. Well, my mom's situation was totally different. My dad tried to kill my mom. And what he did was he laid a automatic shotgun in the bed with her. And when she was to roll over and hit it, it was supposed to fatally shoot her. But when she rolled over, she threw her arm over the barrel of the gun and it went off. She said she remembered looking up and seeing him standing in the doorway and saying to her, "What happened?" And she said, "I've been shot." So on the way to the hospital, he's with her along the way the whole time. She's in and out of consciousness. She, at this time, is 17 years old. And she's afraid because she's with him and she's by herself. So she's in and out of consciousness. And they took her to a hospital called Illinois Research. Illinois Research is a hospital that does all kinds of experiments and things like that. And at the age of 17, they said to her, "If you sign this release, we'll do what we can to save your hand." And at 17 years old, yeah, you'll do whatever it is that you need to do to save your hand. So she signed the papers. And so what they did was they had this theory that flesh could breed flesh or what have you. And so what they did was they cut her stomach in not a square but almost a square, where they left the skin connected, and they took her wrist and they wrapped the skin from her stomach around the gunshot wound, and sewed her arm to her stomach. And they were giving her straight morphine every day for 3 months, all day long. If she felt the pain, they gave her morphine. She had to do a test, they gave her morphine. So they basically guinea pigged her. And back in the 60s, in the early 60s, they weren't doing any studies about how pharmaceuticals gave people habits. So my mom, gets released from the hospital about three and a half months later, She hits the streets with a prescription, and she runs out of that prescription, and somebody introduces her to heroin, and she said it felt familiar. So she got a habit from the hospital. This habit lasted all of her life. And it wasn't in the same form. It's like she started off with heroin, and she was working at a methadone. Methadone had came about, and so she got on the methadone program. And so basically what the methadone program does is they ask you these questions to find out how much you use in a day, and they give you the amount of methadone to help you not want to shoot heroin. So you get counseling at the same time. And so you you get the methadone, and as you're getting the counseling, they decrease it little by little till one day you come in and you're just drinking orange juice, and you don't know that the methadone is not in there. And so then you're successful. You graduate and everything else. And their theory is that the way you keep it is the way that you give it away. So, of course, my mom became a drug abuse counselor. She went to school while she was a drug abuse counselor. But every Friday, Saturday, everybody from from the drug abuse program, would be at my mom's house partying, getting high, smoking weed, drinking, and everything. My mom never really got off of drugs. She went from one to the next, and she was functional, but she was addicted. It didn't it didn't stop her. It didn't it changed because from using heroin to using alcohol, pills, and marijuana. And then she was she her and the nurse at the methadone program was still in the methadone tablets. They were selling them and using them. So she still was addicted. So she went from that to that to that, and she even went to the point where she smoked crack for a minute. And I grew up around this. My grandmother saved me from a lot of it, and I'm blessed because of my grandmother. My mom has achieved many heights, and drugs and addiction was right along with her. I remember one time they had made her a manager of a drug abuse center. And it was a little house where everybody was coming to get methadone and counseling at. And one of the ladies in there said something to her, and my mom pulled out a gun and shot at her. Well, of course, they took the program from her. She didn't go to jail, but I was like, so there were so many stories of her wanting to get off, but the addiction drug her back in, wanting to get off, but the addiction drug her back in. And as she got older, I think the last thing that she used was crack, and I caught her, and she was very embarrassed. And I was an adult with children. And she decided that she wanted to stop, and it was hard. So she started going to these doctors and telling these doctors that she had these different kind of pains, and they were giving her pain pills in volumes. And in the end, she never was not addicted to something. She never was able to be the mom that I wanted her to be, or she wanted to be to me. She never was able to say with a clear heart and a mind that she was free of substance, because she went from illegal drugs to using pills from doctors And she had 3 or 4 doctors giving her pills. I remember when we would go to the doctor, me and my kids. She's like, "Did the doctor give you some pain pills?" We'd be like, "Yes, but we don't want to take them." "No, go on and get that prescription filled. Get that prescription filled and give it to me." She got to the point where we would tell her when we went to the doctor, "Did the doctor give you a prescription?" "Nope, nope." We wouldn't even give her the pills, but she still would find a way to get them. So addiction is something that I don't even have words for it. I went to school for it. I became a drug abuse counselor. I couldn't do it because I had not dealt with my own issues behind abandonment, neglect, and things like that from my mom. Um, and I truly wanted her to love me, and she only knew how to love me in the way that she knew how to love me because of her addiction. I forgave her a long time ago before she passed. She passed in March of 2020 from small cell lung cancer. And when the cancer went to her brain, I was in the room with her when we found out that it was traveling to her brain, and she heard my voice. And my nickname is Penny. And she said, "Penny, is that you?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me," because she couldn't see because the cancer would travel to her brain. And I said, "Yeah, it's me." She said, "My baby, Penny?" I said, "Yeah." She said, in front of everybody, "I'm sorry I didn't love you like I should have." And I forgave her a long time ago because I thought about it was hard. As I was a kid growing up, I wanted my mom around. I wanted to be with my mother. But my mother had an addiction that was dangerous. Not only was it not was it unhealthy, it was just dangerous. The type of people that she were around and everything. And I yearned to have my mother in my life, but that was not possible. And my mom also, I felt like, wanted to be in my life at certain times because she would come to me as a little kid and she was like, "Penny, I want you to take this kit and I want you to tear it up." And the kit was her drug paraphernalia. It was a bottle cap, it was a lighter, it was wire, it was the rubber that you tie yourself off, like when you go to the doctor to get the blood test. It was the rubber that you tie yourself off with. And she would say, "I want you to destroy this because I'm done with drugs." If I could tell you how many times she did that, I would be rich. If I got money for each time that she said, "I'm not using drugs anymore. I'm done. This is not what I want to do with my life," I would be rich.
What a touching and compelling story. Thank you so much, Cynthia. I appreciate you sharing that with us. You made it. You made it through this life. That is strength. And it takes strength to deal with a family member who is addicted, but you made it. I want to thank you once again so much for that story. It was definitely compelling. And I want to thank all of you for joining us on Steel City Mukbang Variety Pod. We'll be back again with episode 1, part 3 on addiction.